Nambole, as Ugandans get ready for the very first game of the CHAN, Uganda versus Algeria, the Desert Foxes. Now, some might say the odds are against Uganda, but soccer is soccer. The Desert Foxes are a formidable side, but we are a combative force, and that is what we are going to be holding on as Uganda Cranes lines up for the very first game of this iconic tournament that puts us on the road to hosting the greater football showpiece, the Africa Cup of Nations, later. Of course, events in Kenya yesterday were a challenge for the security forces. I do hope the team that is working on ground is up to the task. Let me return to the conversation here in the studio, and I have with me a host of panelists who will be helping us look at how we can strengthen laws against voter intimidation as well as false election speech, improving enforcement capabilities for electoral officers, and of course looking at the greater work of the Electoral Commission as we ready ourselves for a general election in 2026. In our preamble, the right of each voter to cast a ballot free from intimidation or coercion is a foundational principle of a free and democratic society. Tracking Uganda's electoral roadmap 2026, we look at the enforcement capabilities of the electoral officers and more in what's happening as Ugandans political actors, those are the candidates, but also the voters across the country ready themselves for this very important ritual in a democracy. I'm joined on set by Ivan Kyeyune. Ivan Kyeyune is seeking the vote in Nakasongola on the NUP ticket. I hope the vetting process that has been undertaken by the honchos that be at the National Unity Platform gives you the upper hand. The white smoke is not out yet, is it? No doubt, we'll be updating us on a little bit of that. We're also joined by Jonard Asiimwe. He is the National Vice Chairman, NRM Western Uganda aspirant, and he's seeking this particular vote. He's currently the chairman of the National Resistance Movement in Hoima District. Many thanks for joining us, Honorable Engineer Jonard Asiimwe. Now, let me go straight into the conversation, but maybe before I do, just a reminder that Julius Mucunguzi, the spokesperson of the Electoral Commission, will be joining us a little bit later. We want to put questions to him, especially with regard to the overall mandate of the Electoral Commission to be able to oversee a free and fair election. Within the conduct of elections in this country, we've seen incidents where the Electoral Commission has either been on a low tone or hasn't acted as it ought to. But officials of the Electoral Commission say their mandate is to organize and ensure the elections are conducted in a free and fair way. If the judiciary is not helping the Electoral Commission, especially when it comes to contestations of some of these elections, then there's pretty much nothing much they can do. But we still insist, as the media, there's a lot that the Electoral Commission can do, and Julius Mucunguzi will be up to answer some of the questions that we have. Allow me to begin by engaging Jonard Asiimwe on how far the fever pitch is stretching the members of the National Resistance Movement, especially that we are seeing the battle for membership on this really powerful council, or I don't even know how to describe it, but the Central Executive Committee is beyond powerful sometimes. Yeah. To be on that executive committee itself,
it's a hot way.
It's a hot way. What is your trajectory right now?
Yeah, but okay, thank you so much for welcoming us, our dear friend. Jonard Asiimwe, as an engineer and the chairman of Hoima City, I want to congratulate Ugandans for having reached Pamoja, and we are really very happy being a sportsman also and a sponsor of football clubs in Uganda. I'm really delighted to today witness our first game. So back to our point of what is happening right now. It is true, as being a chairman of Hoima City 2, and who has been conducting those primaries, it has really been hot, even on those levels of MPs and mayors. And also, when you look at the background, you really find that this year's politics is really hot. But our chairman of the party is already working around the clock to see that those nitty-gritties have been handled. But when you go back to the position I'm standing on, as you have really asked, it is not a small exercise. Remember, all of us Ugandans, being a SEC member, you really need to have brains, and a lot is put. I want to tell Ugandans that if SEC is not into existence, there are many things which do not come into implementation, or maybe policies delay. So that's why when we come to this person, everyone is attentive to know who is Jonard, who is Moses, who is who, because he's at the kitchen of everybody, and we expect that as Jonard also came into this race with a vast experience in leadership, yeah, I'll be good to go for that position.
All right. When you speak about the fact that the contestation is really high, the stakes are high, it's perfectly understandable. We shall be delving into that a little bit later. But where stakes are also high is within the National Unity Platform, where we are waiting for the political white smoke in as far as the voting is concerned. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of what is being done within those special spaces, but what's the latest on ground, especially in Nakasongola?
First of all, I'd like to say good morning to the viewer, wherever you are. My name is Ivan Kyeyune, a candidate on the ticket for Nakasongola constituency 2026. As far as we are concerned with how players are now showing or indicating in Nakasongola, after the primaries of NRM, where we saw everyone is complaining, we have seen voter bribery, we have seen people voting, being failed from factories, casual laborers, sorts of complaints are now coming to the NRM Electoral Commission. But as the opposition in Nakasongola, we are level grounded. We have been communicating to the people how the government has actually deliberately created poverty to the people of Nakasongola. Way back in the 90s, we had a lot of business on Lake Choga, where a series of Ugandans were earning business from the lake, right from the fishermen, people who deal in fish, people who deal in boat engines, people who smoke the fish. The chain of business was huge. When military was deployed on Lake Choga, beating up people, arresting people, impounding of vehicles and motorcycles, now the whole community on the lake shores just wakes up and looks at the lake as a flower. The lake is now no longer useful. Way back, Nakasongola had people with a lot of cattle. I think amongst the cattle corridor, Nakasongola used to bring the most milk in Kampala. The largest cattle used to come from Nakasongola. But right now, cattle theft is rampant. Everyone sleeps outside keeping their cattle. Thieves have come from all over Kampala to come and cause havoc in our communities. As opposition, we are promising that immediately we get the opportunity to reach Parliament, we want to put pressure on government, first and foremost, to release, to get rid of UPDF from the lake and allow people to work again. People who have been arrested under the chaos of stealing cattle, many when apprehended, they go to court and they get released. Those people are so connected. We are asking, who is behind all those people who steal cattle, go to court and get released and come back to the communities and cause havoc?
Interesting there. That is a whole job to do when you get into the process of legislating, and we do hope the 2026 parliamentary polls go as anyone would love them to. Let me return to Engineer Jonard Asiimwe. The Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement, like we alluded to earlier, is a powerful organ of the ruling party. But in your submission, you appeared to suggest that it also overlaps as a very pivotal organ that might determine the trajectory of government or the state. Help us with a little bit more clarity on that before we completely get it wrong.
Okay. First of all, when we talk to our party like NRM, the National Resistance Movement, when it took over NRA to movement, the senior cadres led by Haji Chigongo are suggested to have structures, and these structures are the one which keeps the party strong from the ground. We have certain members from the village, and those certain members, they are supposed to identify what is really motivating the party on the ground, what is not right. So we move like that. Like me in my city now, I'm the chairman. I have party. I have structures up the village level. So when we move from the cities, districts, we go to central, and central. That's where we are having our chairman, His Excellency Kaguta, and then after that we have the vice male, vice female, where we are having Right Honorable Kadaga, where we are having Chigongo. Then we are having these ones we are talking about, the four: the eastern, the western, central, and the northern. So that's where I'm vying for the part of western. So in anything we decide as a party, the SEC members have to sit and truly do analyze. Even it is part of the appointing authority that analyzes the cadres, analyzes what is happening, and they happen to do what? To appoint. Only that to my enlightenment is that many people have not been knowing these positions, and I'm very sure while we are doing much of civic education to this new generation, I'll be to my friend here, being in the other side, I'm also this side. But still, about civic education, it's the same thing. Being you see, when you are saying is in opposition, no. Me, I'm in NRM and is in the other part. But still, you see how he's educating. It is what we are calling about civic education of this generation. It cuts across. It cuts across. Yeah, people just need to be enlightened and to know exactly why do we have these positions, why do we need them, and how do they affect our daily operations.
Okay, thank you very much. Allow us welcome on board Julius Mucunguzi, spokesperson of the Electoral Commission. Glad to see you.
Thank you very much, and glad to be here.
No doubt. I'll be pushing the next question straight to you.
Yes.
Update us on the very latest that the Electoral Commission is up to before we can begin the excavation of more information with our questions that we have prepared for you.
Thank you very much, and this discussion is timely. When you are speaking about false information, let me first give the right information before false information comes into play.
No, we don't have any false information here.
So before it gets into the public domain.
All right.
Just to state that at the Electoral Commission, the chairperson and the commission just announced over the weekend that the elections of delegates conferences that were supposed to take place tomorrow for election of the Electoral College for non-unionized workers has been postponed. It will not take place tomorrow, the 5th of August. Instead, it will take place on the 18th of August. And the election of that, of those 10 people at the sub-county level is provided for in the law that guides the election of representatives of workers to Parliament. And it starts with the convening of a delegates conference by the minister responsible for labor or workers in Uganda. The minister convenes the non-unionized workers. These are workers who They earn a pay for a service they offer, but they don't belong to any labor union. And of course, Ugandans, they are citizens, they are voters, but they organize themselves outside the labor unions. So that's where the beginning of that election starts. At sub-county level, 10 people, 3 of whom must be women, are elected. They go on to the district, and the district conferences are going to take place on the 22nd of August. And then after that, we'll have the regional conferences that will take place on the 25th of August. So that change has happened after the commission conferred with the minister responsible for labor, for workers, because there are some preparatory issues that need to be concluded before those conferences can be held. So that is the first item that is very top on the agenda as emerging from the Electoral Commission. Okay, before you go to the next item, let's avoid doubt, especially for those that might be confused about the non-unionized workers. Yes. Why aren't they part of the labor unions? No, I mean, is it by belonging to a labor union is a free choice. A worker or workers are free to join labor unions, or they are at liberty not to belong to unions. But they offer service. They are Ugandans. They should be represented, because in the provision of the Constitution, workers are supposed to be represented. So those that are in labor unions will have their channel through which they will elect their workers, their delegates to the conference. And these ones who are outside the labor unions, the non-unionized workers, also have that system that starts from the sub-county and goes to the district and then to the region. And then at the region, we have 4 regions in the country, East, North, West, and Central. And then you have the 10 that then meet at the national conference that will then elect the member of parliament, 5 members of parliament. And that election for the members of parliament will take place between 12th of January and 9th of February 2026. So that is the latest from the Commission. But also you may be aware that the Commission mentioned and stated that the nomination dates for presidents, for aspiring people that want to become president of Uganda were also adjusted, and this time the nomination dates for aspirants for the position of president will take place on the 23rd and 24th of September, and then there's a whole lineup of the other dates that the Commission issued. All those are provided in the roadmap. The rest of the dates did not change, but these are the ones that particularly changed. Nominations for candidates for local governments, including special interest groups, will be on the 3rd to the 12th of September. Nomination for parliamentary candidates or aspirants will be on 16th and 17th of September. And as I've said, 23rd, 24th for president. On the 8th to the 12th of December, we'll have nomination for special interest groups for local governments, and then candidates campaigns. The campaigns for parliamentary, for members of parliament, will take place between from 23rd September to the 12th of January. And the list goes on. All right. So that is where we're in terms of... What conditioned the adjustment for the president's nomination date? So once, you see, as an aspirant for nomination for president is required to obtain 100 supporters, a list of 100 supporters from at least 2/3 of the districts of Uganda. That's 97, 98 districts of Uganda. They have to go and identify those people, fill that form. There is a supporter form that they fill, and the commission is expected to verify those particulars, 9,700 particulars, before a candidate or an aspirant can be nominated. So the commission wanted to have time to receive all those submissions from whichever number of candidates we're going to receive or aspirants we're going to receive. So that was number 1. Number 2, to enable the commission and the aspirants now who would be, candidates, who would become candidates, agree on a campaign program. So those preparatory activities, if they were not considered and adjusted, the period remaining for candidates for president to traverse the whole country during campaigns would have been limited. So essentially it was to enable the presidential candidates to have enough time to travel across the country to campaign and sell their manifestos and ensure that the people of Uganda make their choices on the basis of knowledge, and that the candidates will have had an opportunity to express themselves to all groups that need to hear their messages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jonard and Ivan, allow me to stay with Julius Mucunguzi very briefly before we can be able to submit on some of the aspects that he does share with us. But again, before I go into the false, misleading, as well as intimidating speech that we are seeing in much of the electoral cycles that are rolling out, allow me ask you this question. The conduct of the NRM Electoral Commission of the primaries brought the ruling party on the spot. I don't know whether you were watching very keenly on how the Electoral Commission conducted itself within the National Resistance Movement space. What are the critical lessons and the takeaways from the NRM primaries?
First of all, the Electoral Commission, the National Electoral Commission, does not conduct these party primary elections, as you know. However, the Commission is interested in how they happen. And when the Electoral Commission sees political parties organize themselves, conduct these party primaries, fill structures within their ranks, it gives the Electoral Commission pride and confidence and hope and positivity that the multi-party political dispensation that Ugandans decided in 2005 during that referendum that we want to go multi-party is taking root. So we salute all those political parties that are filling the structures as they should in their ranks, that are organizing and conducting party primaries to choose their flag bearers. We're also very pleased to see that where issues emerge from those, that there are mechanisms of the tribunals that are currently sitting to listen and dispense justice, so that there is a just and democratic process that delivers the flag bearers. So we start from a positive note that what is happening in the political parties, first and foremost, is a positive development. It must be encouraged, and they should be supported by all Ugandans to do what they are doing.
Okay.
Secondly, we've seen, as most Ugandans have seen, that there have been issues and that's why there are tribunals, that's why there are complaints, that's why there are petitions. And that is normal, because elections by their very nature are contested political processes. People will agree with the result, people will disagree with the process, people would but the mechanisms are in place. And we want to make sure to see mechanisms that are in place within the political party structures themselves to resolve any emerging issues.
Okay.
What we would like to see is those issues that emerge across the board, NRM, NOP, FDC, PFF, and all the others, that they are resolved before the nomination dates have been reading here, so that we don't carry the unresolved issues emerging from party primaries into the general election. Because when that is not done, then we find ourselves at the Electoral Commission, having to handle our own processes, but also people coming into the election carrying their bitter grievances
that
right.
They
will, especially those who choose to come as independents, because the law provides that you can come sponsored by a political party, and that you can also come as independent.
All right.
And depending on what the parties have within their constitutions, whether somebody who does not win in a primary can choose to come as independent, that is up to the party
internal structures to reorganize.
On the whole, the Commission is pleased with the developments with political parties flagging off.
Okay, Julius Mucunguzi, spokesperson of the Electoral Commission. Let's go for a break. We shall be asking a lot more questions, including whether the Electoral Commission on itself as a national body will perform better, especially in incidents where declarations are altered, as we saw in many of the incidents. Stay with us, we'll be right back. that has the iconic fuel tankers belonging to Mogas Fuel Company. The scene itself is representative of at least 3 aspects of service delivery. The transformer that is affected, of course, it now means that power is not available to a whole host of clients within that area, but also the fact that it could trigger a spark or two, and then there is a fuel leakage. There is a whole lot of issues around that place, and the urgency with which the authorities ought to be acting right now is something that we cannot overstate. I do hope that that is taken care of, and our man Stephen Mbide to disengage quickly and be able to bring us the reports from Nambole a little bit later. Allow me to return to the studio and continue with our Kickstarter conversation, strengthening laws against voter intimidation as well as false election speech. Before we went into the break, the spokesperson of the Electoral Commission, Julius Mucunguzi, had gone on and positively about explaining some of the issues and also looking at how Mr. Tango Doi and the NRM Electoral Commission conducted the NRM primaries. There's a lot to learn, but also so much to focus on in terms of the challenges that could show up again when the general election comes up in 2026. But as he was submitting, there was a man who was itching and saying there is a totally different picture, especially on the ground. Allow me to engage Ivan Kyeyune on exactly what you think is a misrepresentation, especially as Julius Mucunguzi submitted.
Yes, thank you very much. I was watching my colleague here, the spokesperson for EC, giving a flowery cosmetic speech about how the EC is going to conduct a fair and free election 2026. And I was like, is he speaking on a wedding? Because it is total lies, complete lies. I'm telling you, we know what is going to happen. We know what is going to happen. Even after 2021 general elections, there are supporters of particular candidates who are still in prison. We know how the media has been repressed all along during the election period. Just recently in Kyeyune by-election, many journalists were battered. Many people are still in prison after the by-election. We know during the election day, internet will be switched off. I was watching when the president was saying that we are now going to use gadgets. I am wondering how such gadgets will be applied when internet is off. The Electoral Commission generally has an institutional weakness, because we know now if you can switch off internet during election day, how can we trust the results that you are dispensing to the public? We understand the fear of switching off internet is to curtail the public to access information, is to curtail the public from posting results immediately as they happen. We have seen candidates being put in house arrest after an election. A candidate is put in house arrest for 2 months. He cannot be able to gather information or to put a petition in case he's not satisfied with the results. We have seen civil society organizations coming out, speak loud to the EC with all the brutality of security forces. We have seen stick-wielding men covered in masks, battering people, beating up even leaders, even current MPs being beaten. I have seen only EC issuing statements. I have never seen a member from the EC resigning. Like, the whole public in Uganda was in shock when people in black masks beat up almost everyone in Kyeyune, and the EC was only watching with no statement, with no. I've not seen culprits. You
wanted Mucunguzi to say he cannot work in these circumstances.
Exactly. Why not? Why can't the EC chairman resign if such instances have happened to Ugandans?
Okay, Jonard.
Contrary to, but almost similar, but contrary. Okay. Yeah. I would think where the Electoral Commission's cutting across all the parties and even the general, there is the minimal civic education. Because the voters don't know what even to do when they are on the line, when they are doing whatever they are doing. And I really see that the Electoral Commissions become very busy towards the what? The elections.
The elections.
You have noted about the new method of voting, which is going to be electoral. I would expect now people to be trained already on ground, because you are going to employ people, you are going to advertise, and these people come on with their gadgets. They don't know how to use them. Things come jammed, the people have confusion, and at the end we have the issues. Maybe since the spokesperson is here, to me this one is a general perception that everybody is going to suffer from the really know of how to vote now to the new methods. How far have you done with the civic education? Because in my city, people don't know anything. That
is going
to do what? To vote, yes.
So thank you very much. Let me first address my brother here.
You see, the Electoral Commission is always consistent in saying that a free, fair, peaceful, credible, transparent electoral process is a responsibility not just of the Electoral Commission or the commissioners or the staff alone, but of all the stakeholders that are involved in the election. You know, as well as I do know, that the EC does not bring candidates. The EC does not vote. The actors in the electoral process and political parties and candidates and their supporters, the media, civil society, all have a role to play. And how should they play this role to ensure that we have an election in which we are all proud? One, everybody, and when you say everybody, it means no one is left behind, must follow the law. In this country, no one is above the law. That's what the Constitution says. If we all followed the laws, the electoral laws, the supreme law, the Constitution, it does, and these laws provide for what we must do, what is expected of each stakeholder to ensure that we have a free, fair electoral process where there is no violence. Because we always say, no one deserves to be intimidated. No one should suffer violence because they're exercising their mandate to elect their leaders. Remember, elections are anchored in the 1995 Constitution, which is 30 years old this year. And the Constitution says that all power belongs to the people. All power belongs to the people who shall exercise the sovereignty in accordance with this Constitution. And Clause 4 says, all power and authority, the people, this is Clause 4, the people shall express their will and consent on who shall govern them and how they should be governed through regular, free, fair elections of their representatives. That's what the Constitution says. When we see those other things that we see, you see, I see, everybody sees, that is not what the law says. That's not what the Constitution says. So you cannot...
Maybe if to bring into context, what I deduct Ivan Kyeyune is trying to put across here is that we as actors have maybe been too lenient to other actors and even to ourselves, for example. What would a resignation of a commissioner of the Electoral Commission send to the country? First things first, it would be a blanket statement that things are not right.
No.
It would put pressure, for example, on those who are the perpetrators, either of violence, intimidation, malpractice.
But look, you see, resignation never solves anything.
It begins the process.
But let me say this. Let me say this. What is needed? Because these acts that we see, whether it is bribery, whether it is acts of violence, whether it is acts of intimidation, they are perpetrated by people.
Let me ask a question.
So what we need to be doing is to have a self-introspection. We look back in our hearts and ask ourselves, is what we are doing illegal?
The problem with that thinking is that as I am looking and reflecting, the police is not.
No. The police,
the actors with the leverage and mandate are not doing the same.
No. Everybody. When we're talking about everyone, can the EC, the security, the candidates, the political parties, the voters, we need this. My colleague and friend here said a very important point on voter and civic education. And civic education is not a product. It is a process that starts from the home.
If you are in a family, and if as a family head, you tell lies before your children, you lie and say, tell him I'm not around when you are hiding in the bed. That kind of child will grow up thinking that the best way to maneuver through a process is telling lies. I was invited as a guest at a swearing in of new prefects for a primary school here in Bugolobi. And I went to ask the prefects how they had won. And they told me they had bought sweets, they had given cakes, they had given money, they had given gifts. Who gives them those gifts? The parents.
They see you allowing candidates to do that.
What that shows is that the work that we need to do, what we need to do is a self-introspection of all of us as a society,
you have the question.
as a country.
Let him ask that question very quickly. We need to transition to the falsehoods and the interview.
I am asking now, because EC is mandated to guide the electoral process.
Which we do.
This introspect section, you're saying that people should reflect themselves, all the stakeholders.
Yes.
I am asking, if the security forces, people with masks, come and take part in the violation, in the mistreatment of Ugandans, are the EC going to preach gospel that please let us be like this, don't do this? Because Ugandans are the growing numbers mistrusting the process. See, when 2006, the same things happened. 2011, the same things happened. 2016, 2021. So are you only preaching to Ugandans that you know what, we must reflect between ourselves? Isn't there a law that tells EC that if a particular stakeholder or candidate, like an incumbent, the president, does processions
or violates the regulations, where do you go next?
The president violates the rules every day. I have never seen a member from the EC condemn.
You know.
Quickly, we need to transition.
The good thing with our laws, they provide that if there is any matter that anybody is dissatisfied with in the electoral process, the recourse to justice is the courts. It is not mob justice, it is not shouting, it is not demonstration. The processes have been laid out clearly in the law that if you go to court, you adduce evidence on any matter. It talks about any matter, whether it is by anybody or everybody.
Okay.
But do we see that happening?
That is well understood, and I must say that it's a conversation that cannot be exhausted. Allow me transition into false information, especially in light of the fact that an election like we are going into often brings this to the fore. But before we go into information that might be brought out or propagated by the candidates or the other actors, there is something we need to deal with. The knowledge, especially among the voters, on who ought to have their ballot, who to have their vote, and whether the civic education that is being rolled out does arrive at that sweet spot where society can finally begin to appreciate candidates and actors, not on account of what they have offered, but what, in terms of bribery, but what they can actually do in terms of legislation. Let me begin with Jonard Asiimwe. What do the people, especially within the National Resistance Movement, on ground in Hoima, think of politicians? When you are speaking to them and seeking their vote, their support, what are you endearing yourself to? Or that perception has long gone and it's a case of let me come to you, give you some money, give you some freebies, and then vote me. I go and represent you on this top organ of the NRM.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, drawing back to the issue of civic education among the voters, it is really in need. And before I go to the other one, I'd like to caution all the electoral commissions across the parties and even general the electoral commission, including my own party itself. The issue of being busy during elections, it is really killing, because these electoral commissions, they are funded the whole year. They are not funded in only election times. And this one is you are making us do the work which is not supposed to be done by us, but which is done by Electoral Commission. Like me, I've ventured to put in a lot of money to move across the country to educate people on how to vote, what to do, things like that, and which would be done by the Electoral Commissions across the parties. Today, when you go and speak to the voter, you discuss everything when he's just listening very well. Very attentive. I'm sure Kyeyune is also experiencing it in Nakasongola and everywhere. But it is only one word which will close the conversation, that you are our man.
How have you left us?
Okay.
So me, I would think it should be a simultaneous way of handling issues. If that constitution my colleague is holding in the hands, and then also my Tangu Doi here at the NRM, and also you're there, work it out very well. That this is what we do. There are penalties if you are got. This is what happens. But I want to ensure that...
penalties for bribery.
Yes, for bribery. Really, it is killing the younger generation. I would want to tell you, our moderator here, that a youth politician today, when he comes to your office and tells you how much he's going to invest in campaigning, he's talking of 2 billion, 3 billion. Is someone who's talking to you is unemployed. He doesn't have even a salary. But he's telling you is going to meet 3 billion in election. So me, I would think that we first leave what is happening right now, but we are totally killing the new leaders. We are totally killing the good leaders. And that's why me, I'm totally investing in this younger generation to ensure that let them know who votes and how to vote. And I think that is what we really needed the Electoral Commission to come into this, because it is killing the economy. When you integrate economy and politics, you really make the country sustainable. But at the moment today, the country is not sustainable. If at all someone comes and picks 800 million from the bank, auctions his houses, and then come to the elections, is down.
Yes.
And today you have said that most of the members, they are in Canada now, USA, they are on the run, because all the property were taken. So I call upon the Electoral Commission groups and my colleague who is here. It is very important that during the course of the 5 years, you can arrange those programs so that by the time the active politics begin, for us we just add a little, but the Electoral Commission, and even in the meeting, someone is going to stand and say, excuse me, when the spokesperson was here, this is what was told that you're not supposed to give. Why are you giving me this thing? But they have left us to be in the field, and then finally we come to court and have issues with them.
Ivan Kyeyune, yes, when you are campaigning in Nakasongola, how do you end the conversation?
First of all, to start from my friend,
the man told me, people listen attentively, and then at that point you're thinking, as a candidate, you're like, oh my God, my manifesto is sinking. And then after they tell you,
yes, the reality is, especially candidates from the NRM party, whenever they meet people there in the villages, their cars already have sodas. As they are speaking, someone is distributing sodas. Us who cannot sustain...
refreshments are understandable.
Let me bring
I would also
point.
love some water.
Let me bring
if I'm seated under a tree or in a hole and we are discussing things.
Buying sodas to every meeting you are going to make. Some of us who have just joined the election process, some of us have not made money to buy sodas. Now, if you buy sodas for 5 years, to every meeting you go to, you might have spent over 500 millions, I'm telling you. These people from NRM, even from the president, we have seen the president openly and publicly bribing people. Just 2 weeks back, he was giving 5 billion to people in ghetto. That is bribery, because it is giving out a clear image that I am giving you with left, I am expecting this. The president dishing out Pajeros, Land Cruisers to chiefdoms and religious leaders. It is a bribe. We all know that he's silencing those people not to come out if there is a corruption scandal in the country.
No, let me inform you, and this is down to the fact that the discussion that we have is also pertinent to it. Religious leaders under the law are supposed to receive cars.
And
this is something that is budgeted for. We might debate the timing of the rollout of
intended to silence them in case.
No, silencing what?
I'm telling you, there is no religious leader who will come out when arrests, when kidnaps are taking place in 2026.
So answer my question.
Yes, to go back to Nakasongola.
How do you end the conversation in Nakasongola?
Someone in Nakasongola was campaigning in the primaries. Every time people were attending his meetings, he was dishing out 50,000 to everyone. Coming to the election day, they dished out money to all people who were lining up. And I was like, why is this guy going to recoup back this money he has spent in the election? Because everybody who was on that line was paid. The cars that ferried those people to the polling stations, he used the fuel. The people, I saw a lot of Kanyamas. I saw a lot of Kanyamas manning security privately for particular candidates.
So for you, how are you doing it?
When I'm speaking to people, myself, I am worried. Because when you tell people that the warrant you have taken today, the wife is going to the hospital and might not find their medicine. The soda a politician is giving you today is going to affect you when you're going through a bad road.
How do you end?
How I end, I tell them that I don't have money, but trust my manifesto, I will deliver.
All right.
But, you see,
please.
I am happy that the two gentlemen are really touching a very critical matter.
That's right.
In our electoral process. And it's a message, again, that the Commission has been very consistent on, that over-commercialization of our political processes and electoral processes
skews the whole thing.
Is unsustainable, and it undermines the integrity of the vote and of the whole essence of elections. Because the framers of the 1995 Constitution did not envisage that our democracy and our elections would be like going to a market in Karere or you know, Nakawa to buy salt or to buy tomatoes, that you sell my vote for this much. In any case, really, how much is one's vote for a period of 5 years? And that is why this message of continuing to tell our voters and our people that your vote is not for sale is important. Number two, that voter bribery is an offense. It's an illegal practice in the law. That both the giver and the receiver are liable, and there are provisions within this law that provide for penalties and fines for anybody caught. One of the challenges that we often face is that no one wants to come up to give evidence.
Accuse anybody.
Yes. Because we take it that it is normal in an electoral process, but it's not. And therefore, discussions that have been happening of bringing a reform, a law reform, or a law that manages campaign financing would be a very welcome idea, I believe. But again, the Commission does not bring laws, it doesn't make laws. But I think we need to bring sanity in our elections by ensuring that we do not have so much accumulation of money in the electoral process that undermines the very essence of a free choice by our people.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm afraid I'm out of time. We needed some updates on the biometric system and whether the trainings, Jonah asked whether training has been undertaken sufficiently.
But, okay, using biometrics,
the internet is like
using biometrics.
We want to go digital.
Using no.
How are you preparing?
I think there's been a misrepresentation.
How are you preparing?
What is going to happen, at least from the discussion that are happening, is that verification of a voter is going to be mandatorily through biometrics.
Biometrics. Okay.
The normal ballot paper, that is paper, is going to still be there. But the idea is to make sure that every person that comes to a polling station is checked against their biometrics data. Yes, but now the difference is that it's going to be compulsory. Before, it was, if it failed, you would not.
The other thing
but what is in the plan is that this time, and the minister responsible for justice and the process will come up with such an instrument that has all the details. But broadly, the Commission is working on the basis of a mandatory verification of voters using the BBVK machine, and we hope it will help in ensuring that there is no double voting and there is no ballot stuffing.
Mr. Ivan Kyeyune, the last time we spoke here on MorningAtNTV, I asked you to state your case to the people of Nakasongola. Today, I won't. Let me ask Jonard Asiimwe, what is your thrust for Western Uganda? Why should people see or vote Jonard Asiimwe instead of another person for the National Vice Chairman Sports?
Okay, thank you.
1 minute.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Why you should really vote Engineer Jonard Asiimwe? First of all, I have not come for the MP position. This issue, this SEC position has a lot of roles to really to mandate. And it's a kitchen. I normally tell colleagues it is a kitchen where we need research, innovations, and inversions. And if at all you look around, I've managed to develop over 50,000 jobs since I left school, and I have done a lot of talent development. And what is missing is just to be near the headman and ensure that
50,000, this man is bigger than Sudi.
And everything is done in real time. So with Western Uganda and the whole country at large, I think I should be the best candidate. If they bless me, we can work for the all Ugandans to ensure that unemployment has...
Thank you very much, Jonard Asiimwe, the NRM chairman for Hoima district, but also aspiring national vice chairman for Western Uganda. For Mr. Ivan Kyeyune, we are waiting for the political white smoke from the vetting committee at the National Unity Platform. Until then, most of the questions will remain unanswered. Many thanks for joining us, Julius Mucunguzi, spokesperson of the Electoral Commission. Your information and perspective has emboldened the viewers' understanding of what they ought to do or what the mandate of all the actors are within the political process. It's been a pleasure having your company, and we shall be joining you guys again tomorrow. Our update on what's happening on the ground does continue. Many thanks for watching. I'm Chris Kyeyune.